At my daughter's birthday party, my grandson came to me and said, "Grandpa, you have to leave now." I was surprised and asked why. Then he said, "Just go now. You will understand later." I trusted him and left. What happened next was rather unbelievable. First, let me quickly thank you for your continuous support. This means a lot to us. If you enjoy the stories we share, kindly subscribe to this channel. It will be great if you can leave a comment on which city you are watching from. We might just give you a shout out in our next story. Today's special shout out goes to Anita Grace from New York. We are glad you enjoy our stories. Now, let's go deeper into the story. I used to think birthdays brought people together. At least in my family, they always had. For as long as I can remember, I was the glue, hosting backyard barbecues, manning the grill with a spatula in one hand and a beer in the other, cracking jokes while the kids ran circles around the lawn. But this time it was different. This time I wasn't hosting. My daughter, Elise, insisted we throw her birthday at her place. She called it a grown-up turn, told me I deserved to sit back for once and just be a guest. I didn't argue. Truth be told, I was tired. Ever since Helen passed last fall, the house had been too quiet. A party sounded like the kind of noise I needed. Elise and her husband Marcus had moved into a bigger house last year, something she described as investment grade, though I suspected it was more about image than equity. They didn't exactly hide their appetite for things: designer furniture, imported wine, a pool no one swam in. I'd helped with the down payment and I never asked for it back. That's just what you do for your kids. Or at least what I thought you do. The house buzzed when I arrived, filled with the sound of clinking glasses, light laughter, and the artificial warmth of curated perfection. Elise greeted me with a side hug, arms stiff, not like when she used to jump into my arms after school. Marcus offered me a whiskey and a rehearsed smile. "We've got a special seat for you," he said, motioning toward a round table in the corner of the patio shaded under a cream-colored umbrella. It was already set with one plate, one glass, and one neatly folded napkin reserved for the king, Elise added, her voice light but eyes unreadable. I laughed because I didn't know what else to do. That's something grief taught me, how to perform normal when your gut tells you something's off. I sat. I watched people swirl around me, mingling like puzzle pieces that didn't quite fit together. And that's when Ethan, my 12-year-old grandson, approached. He looked pale, not sick, just disturbed, eyes darting, lips pressed tight like he was holding in something hot. He leaned in close, his little fingers clutching my wrist like a vice. "Grandpa," he whispered, "you have to leave now." My smile faltered. I tilted my head, searching his face. "Why?" I asked, my voice just above a whisper. He didn't answer right away. He glanced back toward the kitchen where Elise and Marcus were whispering, laughing, arranging something behind the counter. Then he looked back at me, urgency swelling in his eyes. "Just go now, please. You'll understand later." I stared at him for a heartbeat. I wanted to dismiss it, chalk it up to nerves or childhood imagination. But I'd seen fear before, real fear. I'd seen it in Helen's eyes when the doctor said the word metastasized. I saw that same fear in Ethan now, and that was enough for me. I stood quietly, placed my napkin on the table, and whispered, "Walk me out. Will you?" He nodded. No one noticed us slip through the side gate. In the car, I sat for a long minute with the engine running. I kept glancing at the house through my rearview mirror. I didn't know what had just happened, but my hands were shaking. Ethan hadn't followed me past the driveway. He'd run back like he was afraid of being caught. I thought about turning around, confronting Elise, demanding answers, but something inside me told me to wait. So, I drove home. My phone buzzed about an hour later. A number I didn't recognize. I answered. "Mr. Harrove?" A woman's voice asked. "This is Officer Bailey with the Oak Ridge Police Department. Are you safe right now?" I blinked. "Yes. Why?" "There's been an incident at your daughter's residence. We need you to come in for a statement." That was the moment the ground shifted. By the time I arrived at the station, the news had already broken. A man named Jeff Turner, Marcus's old college friend, apparently had collapsed at the party after dinner. The paramedics couldn't revive him. His plate had been the one placed at my seat after I left. He joked about taking the VIP spot, according to one of the guests, the one Elise had told me was reserved for the king. He died within minutes of finishing his meal. I sat in a cold room with fluorescent lighting that made everything feel clinical and unreal. The officer laid it out piece by piece, toxicology-confirmed poison, rat poison to be exact, mixed into the garnish. There was security footage, text messages, plans Elise and Marcus had made that pointed not just to a crime of opportunity, but a premeditated attempt on my life. I couldn't speak. My mouth went dry. My body was frozen in place. And through it all, I kept seeing Ethan's face, the terror, the plea, "Just go now." He saved me. That little boy saved me. And somewhere between the shock and the heartbreak, a colder truth emerged: my own daughter had tried to kill me. I didn't sleep that night. I sat at the edge of my bed, staring at the blank space where Helen used to keep her reading lamp, clutching my phone in case someone called to say it was all a mistake, that this was some mix-up, a clerical error, or a bad dream I hadn't yet woken from. But every time I closed my eyes, I saw Ethan's face, those wide, terrified eyes, and the trembling grip he had on my arm. I heard his voice over and over again, "Just go now." What kind of child tells their grandfather to run away from his own daughter's party? And what kind of father walks away from a celebration in silence only to realize later it had been a funeral in disguise? The call came around 9 a.m. Elise and Marcus had been taken into custody for questioning. That was the word they used at first, questioning as if they were just witnesses in someone else's tragedy. But I knew better. The police had pulled enough from Marcus' phone alone to warrant their arrest: screenshots of conversations, browser history, delivery records for the poison they had ordered under a fake name and shipped to Marcus' office. My stomach turned when I read those messages in the detective's hands. "We'll make it look peaceful," Elise had typed, like he choked on dessert. "No one will question it." Marcus responded with a thumbs up and a joke about the inheritance. That word, inheritance, clung to me like smoke. I had always intended to divide my estate fairly. I wasn't rich, but the house was paid off, my pension stable, and I had a few investments that added up over the years. I even added Elise's name as co-beneficiary in my trust alongside my niece, Julia, who'd been like a second daughter after Helen passed. I thought I was being generous, thought I was building something that would outlive me with love. Instead, I'd unknowingly given my daughter a reason to kill me. I spent the morning giving my statement to two detectives who looked as uncomfortable as I felt. They kept apologizing for asking so many personal questions, for dragging me into something so ugly. But it wasn't their fault. They were just the messengers. The horror had come from inside my own bloodline. When they played me the security footage, Elise and Marcus in the kitchen, whispering, carefully plating one dish differently from the others, I nearly vomited. The footage showed Ethan creeping in the background, watching unnoticed. They must not have seen him. He'd stood behind the doorway, his head just barely visible in the reflection of a microwave door. That was how he knew. That's what he saw: my daughter, his mother, slipping something into my food. The detective paused the footage and looked at me gently. "Do you think your grandson is in danger now that he's spoken up?" I couldn't answer. Not because I didn't know, but because the question itself cracked something in me I didn't know could still break. I had been so focused on my own betrayal. I hadn't yet considered what this meant for Ethan. He had to go home last night, back to that house, back to her. What kind of mother tries to murder her father in plain view of her child?